Hello. So welcome to tonight's Artisan class. We're going to focus tonight on converting just regular sketches to click and fills. And I am going to start by sharing my screen so we can just discuss what a click and fill is. We are using Artisan 6. So this is one that I've created. By click and fill, it just means that you can click an image and drop it in, and then it'll fill up. And so the nice thing about click and fills is that you can reuse them. The nice thing about digital is we can resize them, and there's endless ideas and layouts out there. So we're going to start by finding the ideas. And tonight we are going to go into the Creative Memories virtual crop group. And the very featured pin on today's talks about the Black Friday promotion that they have running right now, and that the digital, they added some new sketches. So I'm just going to go in here and left click on this sketch. Then I'm going to right click it. So this is the sketch that we are going to convert into a digital click and fill. So the first thing we want to do is save this as a JPEG. So I'm going to right click, go to save image as. I'm going to find an easy place on my desktop or in my computer where I can save this. And I'm just going to call it sketch 1. And you want to make sure you're saving it as a JPEG image. And then we're going to click save. And while we're in here, I'm just going to grab the second one, because what we're going to do this evening is I'm going to show you how to convert this one to a click and fill, and then you guys are going to work with this one and do it yourselves. So I'm again going to right click, save image as, same spot. I'm just going to call this one sketch 2 and save, and there we go. Now we're going to open up Artisan, and I already have a project that I call 12 by 12 layouts. And you will see, if I click on the pages here on the right hand side, that I have lots of pages in here, and some of them have coordinating layouts with them already, and some of them don't. Some of these I've created myself and then shared at events with my customers, and some of them are from Creative Memories, and I've just used them to create my own click and fills. So we're going to go all the way down here to the bottom, and that's the last one that I created. So what we want to do, the first thing we want to do is bring these images that we just saved, we want to bring them in as JPEGs. So to bring photos into Artisan, you click up here on the word photos, then you want to say get photos from my computer. You're going to toggle to wherever you just saved them, and I did attach them to the email, so you guys will have them. I'm going to hold my shift key and collect them both, and then just click open. And there they are. So once you've brought in the JPEGs of the sketches that you want to convert to click and fills, then we're just going to scroll down to the end of our project here that I have open and use a blank page. And we're going to open that one up. And to start with, we're just going to pull this single image over and create and just make it a 12 by 12. Now it's not a click and fill because we can't just drop photos into these photo boxes and have them go in as photographs, because right now it's just a flat photograph basically. So this is where the fun begins. So what I like to do, keep in mind all your elements are on the left-hand side, and the ones at the top are always on the top of your page. So think about it as layering with traditional scrapbooking. So if you go to your insert button at the top, first thing I'd like to do is insert empty photo frames. So if you click empty frame, and I'm just going to drag that on top of that first photo box, and I'm going to resize it. And then assuming these are all the same size, I'm going to Control C and Control V, and I'm just going to pop them on top of there, and I'm going to control another one and add it. So now we've already got our 3 photo boxes in there. You can see that there is a big piece of paper on the bottom. That's probably a 12 by 12, which could be your background. But what I like to do is just add a shape so that we can change it to a paper print later on. So I'm going to add under the insert button again at the top, under shape, I'm going to add a rectangle. and I'm just going to put it way up, make it a full 12 by 12. Now you'll see my rectangle has a black line on the outside. That's over here on the fill in stroke. So under stroke width, I'm just going to put none because I don't want a black line around the outside of that piece of paper. And then I'm going to fill it with a black and white. I try to keep all of my sketches or my click and fills just as plain black and white. So I'm just going to fill it with a color and click OK. So now what I've basically done is laid a piece of paper on the top of my layout. So on the left-hand side where my elements are, I'm going to left click and drag it. Then it's going to tell me I have to finish my operating. That's in progress. So click cancel. Over here on the right, I should have clicked create. That creates that piece of paper. And now on the left-hand side under the elements, I'm going to left click it and I'm going to drag it down so that it is, right now it's on top of our photo of our layout. I'm actually going to drag it below the layout so we can now see our layout. So what we just created is this one here. Now you see there's another piece of paper that's slightly smaller and goes on top of the page we just created. So let's create another rectangle. So again, under Insert and Shape, we're going to click Rectangle, and we're going to drop this one to make the same size as what we think that piece of paper is down there. And I'm going to get rid of my stroke, make that none. I'm going to change the color so it's slightly different color. This is the color I just used. It's the most recent color. So I'm just going to grab something that's just a little bit lighter and click OK, and then click Create. So now I've dropped another piece of paper, which I'm going to pull down so I can see my photo underneath. Okay. So the next thing we want to do is, it looks like there's a piece of paper behind the photo boxes. So I'm going to create that piece of paper next. Again, under Insert, we're going to insert a shape, choose Rectangle, and we're going to make this rectangle. Now keep in mind, you can change these when you start using this layout, so don't be too particular about getting it exactly right. I'm going to take my width off to none, change my color again. I'm going to pick a third color because, again, this is a third piece of paper that we are using. We haven't duplicated any of our papers yet. These are our first two up here. So I'm going to go with that. It's kind of close to the first one. Okay, that's definitely lighter. So click OK and Create. I'm going to pull that one down. All right, so what other things do we have? This they're using as a title. I think I might make that a photograph because there's not a lot of photos on here. So I'm going to make this a photo with a mat. So I'm going to go to Add an Empty Frame under Insert, Add a Frame. I'm going to put it up here. And then I'm going to go under the Photo tab here across the top. I'm going to add a mat. And so it's pretty skinny right now. I'm going to change the width and make it a little fatter. And click OK. So now that's a photo box instead of being a journal box or whatever an embellishment that they had. All right. So I'm going to pull that one down, get him out of the way. Now they have a title in here, which you could add as an embellishment, or maybe this might be a better place for a title if you're going to use this as a photo. And so what I have done under my content here on the right-hand side, I have created a content package under user content. And it is called CM Stuff. So if I click on CM Stuff, in here I have journal boxes. I have numbers because I typically use these sketches with my customers. And then I have 6x4 and 4x6, so I know the size of the frames. But I also have things like journals and titles. So I'm just going to add my little title. Oops. I'm just going to put him here. So that just tells me that when I'm actually scrapbooking this either digitally or traditionally, that's where I want my title to go. Now in behind here, you see we have a big, what looks like a tick box or a journal box. So while I'm in here, I have a little piece of journaling paper. This I just created using one of the paper packs that Creative Memories had that had journaling lines on it. And so depending on how big you want your journaling to be, I probably wouldn't want it much bigger than that. So I might just add a second one to the page just to fill in the bottom half here, because those are going to go in behind. So now I have two journal boxes stacked. I'm going to click my Shift key, and then I can group them both together. And then I'm going to drag those underneath my photos. All right. So when you get going, you might forget what have you created and what is still flat. So you can use the little eyeball here on the left-hand side beside any of these elements. If you turn your eyeball off, that hides that element. So what I've turned off is the page that we're actually filling. So now I'm going to turn it on. I'm going to turn it off. So I can see that I have not matted my journal box, right? Looks like they have a mat on their journal box. And I'm also missing something down here, and they've got a little flag tucked in there. So I think the first thing I'm going to do is create a mat for my journal box. So mats, again, you're going to insert up here in the top left. You're going to insert a shape. You want it to be a rectangle. We're going to just size it over top of our sketch. And there we go. We're going to change our stroke again to none. And our color, we're going to fill. Maybe with that one. Click OK. Click Create. And then I just have to drag from the left-hand side. These elements are all stacked on top of each other. I don't want my mat on top of my journal boxes. So I'm going to drag it down so it's below that journal box. And now if I hide my layout again, I can see it's starting to come together, but there's something funny in here. It looks like my journal box and my mat should actually be below this piece of paper. So to easily do that, I'm just going to take my journal box and my mat, and I'm going to bring them underneath there. That looks better. I also did not choose a very good color for my mat because it's kind of hard to see. So I'm going to click on my mat, and up here on the fill on the top left, it says fill. I'm just going to fill that with a slightly darker color of gray. There we go. All right. So let's look back at our layout. Things are coming along quite nicely. Looks like they have a border or something under here. So I think what I would do is in my CM stuff, I've actually created just a 12 by 12 border. Oh, it's right here. And so just for now, I'm just going to pop that in there just to remind me that I could put something down across the bottom. And again, I'm going to pull it down. I want it to be on top of my journal boxes. So that might be good. Let me hide my photo. There we go. Actually, the journal box goes on top of the border. So I'm going to drag my border down again. Turn off my layout, and that's our layout. So what we have now, we're going to save it. Save, 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 always save. And a good practice is once you've saved it is to duplicate it, because you want to save your layout as an actual layout, because then you can import it into another project. And by that, I mean, I'm going to duplicate it. So I'm on the right-hand side here. I'm going to right-click and go to duplicate this image. That will just give me two of them. Then when you start to play, you're not going to be playing with your original image. So let's say, for example, I wanted to actually scrapbook this. Then I could just go into my photos. I can add my pictures. Oops, undo. And then we can just, you change the color of your papers and everything. So I'm going to save that. Once you've created your sketch and you've saved it because it's in this layout, so we've created projects called 12 by 12 layouts. So your sketches are all in there. Let's say, for example, you were working in another project. So I have a second project open here. It's called 12 by 12 Hue. If I click on that project and I go down to all of our pages, then I can actually import the page we just created into this project. And to do that, under the Home tab, you're going to click Add Page. Then you have options of using a template from an art kit, using a page from your computer, or adding a blank page. So we just created a page and it's on our computer. So we're going to click Using a Page from my computer. Then it's going to ask you, where is the page? So your pages are probably on your C drive, under Users, under Your Name, under Documents. Then there should be a folder called Artisan Projects. And if you click on Artisan Projects, you will see all of the projects that you've created so far with Artisan. And because I told you to call this something 12 by 12, so you would be able to find it, all my 12 by 12 projects are here. So there's my 12 by 12 layout project right there. So if I double click that, then here are the different layouts in that project. These are all pages, and I can pull any of these into Hue's album. So what I'm doing is I'm looking for that page that we just created. It won't necessarily be the last one. Here's our page right here. This is the one we just created. So I'm going to click it, and then I'm going to click Open. Give your computer a minute to import that page, and now you have your page. So from here, you can start scrapbooking digitally that page, and it will be in your album that you're working in. Then when you go back to your 12 by 12 layouts, you will still have the original one in your project. So it's really important to not edit the image that you've created, the click and fill, when it's in your layout project. Just keep these all black and white. And what I've done is some of them have partners where the sketch is on the left and the layout is on the right for this, for example. But always keep one image, just your black and white click and fill. Then you'll always have it for any project you want to bring it into.